If it is or if it ain't, it's going to come out. Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is August the 9th, 2023, and today the topic is self-gratification. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope that you all had a terrific Tuesday. Mine was just fine. Yeah, mine was just fine overall, y'all. Had another amazing conversation for a future episode of the GSL talk show. After that, I ended up making up the check-in conversation that I usually have on Mondays with one of my homegirls. We did our check-in yesterday. I was supposed to do that interview with the potential marketing person, but we rescheduled. He wanted to reschedule, so that got rescheduled or whatever. Outside of that, hustling from home, getting things together mentally, all this type of stuff. But y'all, all right, how did I get to this morning? Self-gratification. So disclaimer, I know y'all know that this is GSL, this is God, Sex, and Love, and this topic may be along that lines a little bit. But not only self-gratification in that way, but I think just self-gratification in general is the conversation today. But y'all know I've been very open and transparent about my own struggles and things of that nature, and that got brought up today, and I'm like, well, Lord, because there was a couple of things on my heart and mind, like as I started to study this morning, but ultimately I got brought into this place thinking about this when it comes to self-gratification, and I'm like, well, so long story short, let me tell you guys how I got to this today. So like I said, I was going back and forth about different ideas about what to study. There was a couple of things that was standing out to me this morning, and I was getting into that, trying to study some of that. But ultimately, as I was looking, I went to I went to godquestions.org. And on godquestions.org, I was looking up one thing. I looked up one of the first things I thought about, or no, probably the second thing I thought about as a potential subject. And I really didn't see anything in regards to that. But towards the end, I saw this article centered around masturbation, and I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. Because I think, again, I've shared with you guys, I've been open and honest, about my journey, struggle, everything like that when it comes to masturbation. I go back and forth about whether it's a sin or not, just because it's not one of those things that's, specifically said in the Bible. But then it's also this whole idea of, well, if you do it in a way that isn't lustful and all this type of stuff, then it's not. And it's just this back and forth that I've had my entire life based on, my past and my childhood and all that type of stuff that I've already confessed to y'all and shared with you all in the past. So y'all got to listen to Future Juice. Not Future Juices, Lord, unless you try to say, unless it's Future Juices. But y'all gotta listen to past juices to get like the whole shebang in regards to the play-by-play of my life, right? Or get my book. The Cultivation Period, A Single Christian's Journey. Get that, and that will hopefully help you understand all of those details, because I don't intend to get into that and hash all that out today, unless the Lord wants me to. But anywho, but I would say that coming across that article and reading that is what ultimately led me to this conversation about self-gratification. I would also say my husband's had something to do with it as well, because last night we just was talking, just talking about, plans and all this type of stuff, just something random. And then at some point he just like abruptly inserted into the conversation that he had a dream that I guess he was uncomfortable with. And I was trying to decide whether I was going to tell y'all the dream or not, but maybe I will, because maybe it's for y'all. So basically, he said he had a dream of him committing infidelity, and he couldn't stop in the dream, or whatever the case was. And he's like, he don't understand where that would even come from, because that's not his mind, X, Y, and Z. And we've had conversations, again, married couples, we having conversations, and he already knows what my heart and mind is in regards to, if he was to commit infidelity, and I'm doing my best, right, to not go cross that line, or whatever the case is. But you know what I mean? We've had that conversation. And I think he knows that would really hurt me, right? If that was to ever be, So when he said the dream, I'm like, little dog, I got something to be concerned about, husband, things like that or whatever. But actually, what came into my heart and mind this morning, y'all, as I was looking at that article about masturbation and whatnot, was maybe the dream was me. And I know that's like, a heavy confession, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not out here doing nothing, outside of our marriage or anything. But however, maybe the masturbation part is infidelity. I could see that in some ways, you know what I'm saying? Now, yes, I try my best to, for example, think only of him and all those things in those moments. But I say all that to say that, that's pretty much where the inspiration came from this morning, coming across that article, thinking back on what my husband was talking about last night. I guess God revealing to me that perhaps, right, my falling short in this area is that. And then ultimately, I guess, leading me to have this conversation with y'all, right, because all of that convicted me in my heart and mind to go deeper, study, and now have something to share with y'all. So, and I'll be honest again, like, I still, at this moment, and I might need to go deeper with my studies and all this type of stuff, but I still, at this moment, don't necessarily feel like it is a sin. I do feel like, and I mean, this is just feelings, so again, I could be wrong, right? I could be totally wrong, and I know people go back and forth. Y'all can comment below how y'all feel about it, X, Y, and Z. Y'all can tell me, y'all can condemn me, whatever y'all feel like y'all want to do. But what I'm saying is, throughout my life, right, it's been something where I felt like God challenged me to take control of that particular area of my life. And there were times when I took long breaks from masturbating, right? And then there's times when I felt like, I don't know if it was the green light per se, but I didn't necessarily feel the conviction of whatever, of doing the act. But regardless of my personal, right, testimony and stuff, basically, this idea of self-gratification, whether it's sexual or not, because there's self-gratification in a lot of different ways, right? So, obviously, this conversation was important to have this morning, so let's get into it. Let us get into some Bible to see what we need to know about self-gratification this morning. So the interesting thing is, when I first got started, one of the first verses that stood out to me was the same verse that stood out to me yesterday. And that was 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. It says, "No temptation has overtaken you that's not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it." So, friends, look, this has been reiterated twice this week. Maybe it's for me, but maybe it's for you, right? Whoever's listening to the sound of my voice, y'all, perhaps this is something that we need to really be paying attention to. This thing about temptation, and it not having to be something that, fully controls us. This is something that we have control over, and God gives us a way to escape those temptations. Like, again, I share this testimony all the time, when I go on other platforms, and I share, again, about the time where I felt like God was like, stop the masturbation situation. And I challenged myself to do that, especially during the cultivation period. And it was a super struggle back then because it wasn't something that I was like used to trying to do. Basically having self-control and denying myself, right? But now I can sit here and tell y'all years later that we can have self-control over one's self. Even when it comes to masturbating or whatever the case is. But again, this conversation is just self-gratification in general, y'all. I mean, I'm not trying to hammer down when it comes to the masturbation thing, because again, it's something I'm even still, engaging in or whatever the case is, because I'm not trying. I mean, again, I've been super transparent about, the situation, and everything like that. And so I don't, again, intend to just continue to go on about my own testimony. But again, like I said, there has been times where I felt like God wanted me to take control over that particular thing, take a break from that particular thing, things of that nature. And then there's been times that I felt free to a certain extent. Again, I am feeling like maybe I should have another conversation with my husband about, what I feel my revelation was this morning. But regardless of that, y'all, again, this is just self-gratification in general. So let the Lord fill that blank in about what that is for you in your life, right? Because, maybe it is masturbation, but maybe it could be, self-gratification in some other whatever form, y'all. So, like, don't get so hunkered up on my testimony right now, y'all. Let's more so focused on what does this mean to you, whoever you are, the listener, watcher, whatever the case is. What is this self-gratification thing for you? And whatever it is, understand that it does not have to be something that controls you. This is something that you have power over. And this is something that God has given you a way of escape from. But let's keep it going, y'all, because, there's more verses to share, all right? Galatians 5:19 through 21. It says, now the works of the flesh are evident: sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, I don't know what divisions, y'all check and make sure I'm reading this right, okay? But anyway, let's say divisions. I think that's divisions. Envy, drunkenness, rivalries. I said rivalries already. Orgies and things like these. I warn you again. I warn you as I warned you before, that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. Y'all can go read all of that for yourself. And if any of those things resonate with you in your heart and mind, if you are, and if you're filling that blank of self-gratification with any of those things, then this conversation is for you. And, at the end of the day, I guess what is standing out to me the most is that this part that is saying that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. So again, this is something that we need to take control over. This is something that we need to start exercising a little bit of resilience and trusting in the Lord with all of these things. Because like I said, this whole self-gratification situation is just beyond, again, just my testimony. Like all those things, I think we've all probably experienced at some point in life. If you've ever been jealous of someone, if you ever, drunkenness, all of this type of stuff is along these lines of, or being called works of the flesh. So just think about it, pray about it, and see what the Lord has to share with you in regards to it. Let's keep going, because I got to get ready to go very soon. All right. So 1 John 2:16, it says, for all that is in the world, or the things in the world, if anyone love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So again, if we're loving those things, right, if we're making those things our God, if we are, again, the self-gratification, whatever the case is, then, it's saying that the love of the Father is not in you, guys. And, let's go deeper about that. But that's what the word is saying. So then we got 1 Peter 2:11. Beloved, I urge you as sojourners and exiles to abstain from the passions of the flesh, which wage war against your soul. you know, again, especially when it comes to this sex talk, y'all. I mean, the Bible's very clear that, you know, sexual sin is a sin against your own body. Now this here is talking about, you know, that we're making war with our very own souls when it comes to these things, and so we need to abstain from the passions of the flesh. Again, our flesh don't want the things of God. Our flesh wants the opposite of whatever God says. That's very clear. And so, you know, let's not lean into this idea of self-gratification, y'all. A lot of times we got to lay down our wants, right, for God's wants, you know. That's part of being a believer, you know. I don't have I don't have much else to say about that, y'all. It's just, I mean, just, I don't know. Let me keep going because there's more Bible verses. Okay, so we got James 1:14. It says, but each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. Again, not many of us are being tempted by things that we don't want, right? And that's the thing. Like, we have to find balance. Like, there's nothing wrong with goals and stuff like that, but when you make the things that you want your God, like, that's where it crosses the line. And you know, so if we understand that, okay, this thing is trying to lure and entice me back into sin, right? Then these are things that we need to, again, exercise self-control over and about and things of that nature. Let's keep going, y'all. Colossians 3:5. Put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you: sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is idolatry. Sometimes we got to put to death some of the things in us, y'all. Like, at the end of the day, it's you know, Christ says take up our cross and follow him. Like, you know, again, it reminds me of this thing about the rich man, right? He thought, you know, he said, like, oh, I follow every letter of the, you know, what was it? The commandments, right? But when Jesus said, okay, well, if you are to be perfect, then lay down, you know, your money and follow me, he couldn't do it because money was his God at the end of the day. And so that's the thing. Like, I mean, hey, you know, I might be just stepping on my own toes more, whatever the case is. And like I said, I'm gonna, you know, seek the Lord about more wisdom and whatnot regarding my own situation. But in regards to this, it's being very clear that, again, it's sexual immorality, impurity, passions, evil desires, covetousness. All these things are things that we possibly use to self-gratify or to gratify ourselves when we need to be taking control over those things. And so I got one more verse, y'all, in regards to this conversation. It's 1 Thessalonians 4:4. It says that each one of you know how to control his own body in holiness and honor. This is something we got to exercise, y'all. Again, I'm a living witness that it can be done. Yeah, I go back and forth with my own struggle, whatever the case is, because yeah, I do feel like there were times God was like, hey, do this right now. And then there was times where it's been like a little bit of leniency or whatever the case is. However, you know, some things may not be like that, right? And so, I guess I'm here to just remind all of us today is that, you know, if there's something that's taking precedence over God, then that thing needs to be lowered and then taking control over. And I guess that's ultimately the juice this morning. Y'all can go deeper, plenty of verses in the go deeper section. There's actually plenty of articles as well if you guys need to go deeper about the whole masturbation thing or whatever the case is. Any of the things that blank can be filled in, just go to godquestions.org because that's a really good place to several resources, and your questions can possibly be answered, whatever your questions may be. But yeah, y'all, I mean, listen, that is ultimately the juice, y'all. Now, the Bible verse of today is Philippians 4:8, and it says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things, friends. I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. Did you know that you can support us for just 99 cents a month? That's right, friends. You can support everything that we do here at GSL for just 99 cents a month. Take a look around wherever this post is. You might see a link or maybe even a button that says support. Go there, check out the options, consider supporting us because, we enjoy bringing you all the daily inspiration as well as the weekly talk show, but we have much, much more to come. Thank you so much for the consideration. Bye-bye.